A child, born into famine, didn't choose it, didn't deserve it. A family, buried under rubble while they slept. They prayed, they did everything right, everything you're supposed to do, everything that's supposed to matter. And somewhere right now, at this exact moment while you're watching this, an innocent person is suffering. For no crime they committed, for no reason anyone can explain. This question is rising in more people every single day, in a world shaped by wars that don't end, by earthquakes that swallow entire cities, by pandemics that killed millions while the rest of us watched through a screen. This isn't a philosophical hobby anymore. You know that. It's personal. It's urgent. Now, don't answer yet. I know you want to. You've heard the answers. You've probably given them to other people. But here's what I need to tell you right at the start. Every answer you've heard before is wrong. Not partially wrong. Not missing a piece. Completely wrong. And by the end of this video, you won't just have a different answer. You'll see the entire architecture of reality differently. Stay with me, because here's what this question actually is. It's not an academic puzzle. It doesn't arrive in a lecture hall. It arrives at 3 a.m. It arrives the moment you read the news and something in you just stops. It arrives when something gets close enough to home that no book, no sermon, no God works in mysterious ways can touch it anymore. And when it arrives, most people do one of two things. They lose their faith entirely, or they push the question so far down it never comes back up. We're not going to do either of those things. We're going to follow this question all the way to the bottom. No shortcuts, no cheap comfort. Because the people who are afraid of this question, and there are a lot of them, they've never actually followed it all the way down. Not one of them. Because if you do, if you really do, something unexpected happens. The architecture reveals itself. Over centuries, humanity has produced exactly 3 serious answers to this question. 3 schools of thought, each one capturing something real, each one missing something critical. But the third changes everything. It begins with a single sentence from a classical philosopher, 11 words, and once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. Let's go. The first answer: we cannot understand divine justice, and we shouldn't try. God is absolutely sovereign. God defines what justice is. Whatever God does by definition is just. The human mind has no standing to evaluate divine action. We're clay. God is the potter. The clay doesn't question the hand. You see the appeal. It's humble. It silences the anxious mind. It's clean. But here's the problem, and I want you to really feel this. If justice means whatever God happens to do, then the word justice means nothing. It's just a label we paste over power. And a God who is just only by definition is not a God you can trust. It's a God you fear, a God you obey because you have no other choice. That's not the God we're looking for. The second school went the opposite direction. Justice is real, objective, rationally knowable. The human mind can perceive good and evil genuinely, accurately, and a truly just God must act in accordance with what reason recognizes as good. God cannot oppress, cannot punish the innocent, because those things are wrong in themselves, not just by convention. Now we're getting somewhere. This says, think, use your mind. Justice isn't arbitrary. But, and this is a sharp but, if God must act according to rational moral standards, does something external bind God? Something higher than God? That creates its own crisis, its own impossibility. Both answers were incomplete, both reaching for something they couldn't quite grab. Then a third voice entered the conversation. This thinker agreed with the rationalists. Yes, the human mind can perceive good and evil. But he also said something nobody else was saying. Reality is far more intricate than your surface judgment of any single moment. And he compressed the entire answer into 11 words. Justice is to place everything in its rightful position. Read that again. Justice is to place everything in its rightful position. Notice what's not there. No courtroom, no punishment, no reward system, no ledger of sins and merits, no scales being balanced. It's about placement, about where things belong in the grand architecture of existence. This isn't just a definition about right and wrong. It's a statement about how reality itself is structured, about the deep architecture underneath everything we see. And it says something radical. Injustice isn't primarily rule-breaking. Injustice is displacement. Something being somewhere it doesn't belong. And if that's true, if the universe has a rightful position for everything, then the problem of suffering isn't just a moral problem, it's a problem of seeing. Which means the reason suffering looks like chaos to us might have nothing to do with chaos at all. It might have everything to do with where we're standing when we look. But to understand that fully, I need to show you something about evil itself. Something that will feel wrong at first. I need you to trust the process. Here's the question. What is evil made of? Most people assume evil is a substance, a force, a real thing that was created and unleashed into the world. The ancient Persians believed this so strongly they invented an entire second god, a god of darkness to match the god of light. Two equal and opposite creators. It was logical. If evil exists, something must have made it. But watch what happens when you actually think carefully about this. Go outside. Hold your hand up in the sunlight. The light is real. It travels 93 million miles from a burning star. You feel its warmth. It has energy, substance, effect. It's doing something. Now look at the shadow under your hand. Nothing. Literally nothing. The sun doesn't create shadows. The sun creates light. A shadow is simply where light didn't reach. It's not a substance. It's an absence. You can't bottle a shadow. You can't weigh it. It has no independent existence. Now, before I say anything else, just sit with that for a second. Think about what blindness actually is. Is it a thing that exists, or is it the absence of sight? Think about deafness, ignorance, sickness, cruelty, destruction. You're already there, aren't you? None of these are entities, they're vacancies. Places where something good hasn't arrived or has been stripped away. This is what philosophers call the non-existential nature of evil. Evil isn't a force, it's a frontier. The edge where existence hasn't fully reached. And that collapses the entire dualist framework in a single move. You don't need a god of darkness. You only need one source of existence. Because only existence needs to be created. Absences don't need a maker. They're simply where the light runs out. Now here's where it gets genuinely disorienting. If the universe is fundamentally made of existence, of being, of light, of goodness, then wherever that light hasn't fully reached, there are shadows. But those shadows aren't a separate creation. They're the boundary, the limit, the place where a finite world ends. And you cannot have a finite world, a world with matter, with bodies, with time, with space, without limits. And you cannot have limits without edges. And you cannot have edges without shadows. If you want a world with no shadows at all, you're not asking for a better world. You're asking for no world. A world with no edges, no limits, no material form, that's not a world. That's infinity itself. A physical universe is by definition a universe of limits. And where there are limits, there will be edges. And where there are edges, there will be shadows. You don't get matter without limitation. And you don't get limitation without the possibility of pain. But we're not done yet, because there's something even more disorienting about evil. Something that makes you question whether the category itself holds up at all. Tell me, is snake venom good or evil? For the snake, it's life itself. the tool that lets it hunt, defend itself, survive. From the snake's perspective, venom is an unqualified good, essential equipment, a profound mercy of nature. For the human who gets bitten, that same venom is destruction. It kills tissue. It kills people. Same substance, completely opposite classifications. The difference isn't in the venom. Think about that. Now zoom out. A volcano erupts, it destroys a village. From the perspective of the people there, catastrophe, the worst possible thing. From the perspective of the planet's ecological system, that same eruption deposits minerals that will make soil fertile for generations. It's regulating, refreshing, doing exactly what it's supposed to do. What looks like chaos from close up looks like function from far enough away. I know what you're thinking right now, and it's fair. This doesn't comfort me when I'm the one in the village. You're right, the pain is real, the loss is real. I'm not asking you to feel nothing. I'm not asking you to pretend, but I am asking you to consider something. Your classification of any event as good or evil depends entirely on which frame you're using, the local frame or the cosmic one. And here's the deepest version of this. Fire gives light, fire gives heat. Fire keeps us alive in winter, cooks our food, built civilization. Those are profound, real goods. But those same properties, the chemical reality of combustion, necessarily include the capacity to destroy. You cannot isolate the warming from the burning. They are one thing. They have always been one thing. Remove the burning, and you don't have safer fire. You have no fire. This is the principle of inseparability. In a material world, certain goods and the shadows they cast are woven so tightly together that you cannot pull them apart without destroying the whole fabric. To ask for fire that doesn't burn is to ask for something that is no longer fire. To ask for a material universe without friction, without collision, without the possibility of pain, is to ask for something that is no longer a material universe, a static void. No movement, no change, no growth, no life. The very conditions that make existence rich and dynamic, matter, limitation, interaction, transformation, are the same conditions that make suffering possible. Not because God is cruel, but because that's what a material world is. Now I can feel the objection forming, and I want to name it out loud, because it's the right objection. Everything we've looked at, snake venom, volcanoes, fire, that's all nature, natural processes, systems doing what systems do. But what about human evil? What about wars? What about children who were trafficked, abused, destroyed by people who made a choice to destroy them? Where was God when those victims were suffering not from a volcano but from deliberate human cruelty? Where is the big picture when a pandemic spreads and kills millions while the powerful do nothing? Those aren't system failures. Those are choices, human choices. And a God who sees everything, who could intervene, why doesn't he? That question is different from everything we've covered today. It's harder, it cuts deeper, and it deserves its own full, honest answer. Not a footnote, not a quick side comment. It's the question of human freedom, of why a just God gives people the power to destroy each other, of what it actually means to live in a world where that freedom is real. That's episode 2. So let's land where we've arrived. Evil is not a substance, it's an absence, a shadow at the edge of the light. Suffering is often a matter of perspective. What destroys locally can serve cosmically, and the goodness of existence and the shadows at its edges are inseparable by nature, which means the question transforms. It's no longer, why does a just God allow suffering? The real question, the deeper, more personal one, is this. If suffering is built into the structure of a material world, if it's not random, not a mistake, not evidence that God has abandoned you, then the puzzle isn't about permission. It's about purpose. What if the hardships you're carrying right now are not punishments? What if they're not even accidents? What if they're designed, calibrated with the same precision that placed every atom in its rightful position? In episode 2, we go exactly there. 3 images that will reframe what you think you know about suffering and meaning. A school where the hardest exams aren't cruelty. They're the mechanism that transforms who you are. A womb where a being develops eyes in total darkness for a light it has never seen. And a surgeon whose blade causes pain, but only to remove what would otherwise kill you. And then we confront the hardest version of the question head-on. Why does God allow humans to destroy each other? If this opens something in you, share it with one person who's carrying a question they've never been able to voice. This is Mizan. We don't offer easy answers. We offer the real ones. See you in episode 2.